This tutorial describes how to enter an invoice using AP invoice entry. Invoices are entered into accounts payable by using one of two selections, AP invoice entry or AP not posted. AP not posted is used to enter invoices for received purchase orders, while AP invoice entry is used to enter all other invoices, including those for vendors that are considered a one-time pay-to. To begin, from the main menu under AP, click Invoice Entry. Enter a vendor ID or click the search button to look one up. If you are entering an invoice for a one-time pay-to vendor, enter MISC as the vendor ID. You will be required to enter a name and address for the vendor. Next, verify that the highlighted drop-down list is set to Invoice. In the field to the right, enter the invoice number. If the invoice number does not exist, you can use today's date or another number. However, it cannot be the same as an invoice number that was already used for this vendor. Now, enter the invoice amount. If you leave the highlighted field set to Pay, the invoice will be marked to pay when checks are processed through the AP check selection. If you do not want the invoice marked to pay, select Hold from the drop-down list. Next, accept or modify the invoice date. The invoice due date is automatically determined by the system using the invoice date and the vendor's payment terms in AP Vendor Maintenance. You can change the payment terms for this invoice by using the Terms drop-down list. If desired, enter a reference number for the invoice. The entry in this field appears in the Reference Number column on the Open Invoices tab of AP Vendor Maintenance. Next, select the GL account that the invoice will post to. Then, select the branch. Now, enter the amount of the invoice. This figure should match the total invoice amount at the top of the screen. If the payment is divided between one or more branches or accounts, the amount should add up to the total invoice amount. When you are finished entering GL accounts, enter any notes for the invoice in the highlighted box. This is an optional step. At this point, you have two options. You can pay the invoice now with a manual check, or you can post the invoice and pay it later with the AP check selection. To process a manual check, click the Manual Check box. Then select the checking account. The next available check number appears. Accept or modify the number. The entry in the Total Invoice Amount field automatically appears here. Accept or reduce this figure. Note that if the amount is reduced, the remainder will appear as the amount to pay on the AP check screen. When you are finished entering the manual check information, click the Save button at the top of the screen. To post the invoice and pay it later, simply click the Save button at the top of the screen. Decide whether or not you want to print the invoice and click OK. To pay the invoice, go to the AP Check selection. This concludes our tutorial. For more information on SmartWorks USA, please visit our website at smartworksusa.com.